Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to my last video before Christmas. This one I'm going to call The Vinyl Ghost of Christmas Past. And what I've tried to do, and it was actually very difficult, was to think of as many as I could actually, of albums that I actually got as presents for Christmas in the years gone by. Now, from 1991 onwards, any music presents were always CDs. So the 1980s were all vinyl albums for me, and I managed to get quite a few. I think there's a few more, but I just can't remember which ones. But in the 1970s, I didn't get very much vinyl. In fact, I believe it was only 1974 where I got vinyl albums whenever I was 8 years old. And the two albums I got then, and I've shown this in the video before, are Remember You're a Womble by the Wombles and Wombling Songs by the Wombles, and I still love those two albums to death. But we come up to 1980, and one of the albums I was really so looking forward to getting, and it was bought to me because my brother had given me his record player. He got a brand new record player in 1979, so I got the old hand-me-down Ferguson, and it was actually quite good. But the one album I was really looking forward to in 1980 was this one, David Bowie's Lodger, and it was absolutely amazing to find this. Come to think of it now, I think I got actually a record player for Christmas that year myself. In fact, I did. And this was the first record to be played on my new record player, and I can't remember the make of it. It was one of those music systems where you had a tape player as well. And this was the first one to get played. And this was Lodger 1980, whenever I was 14 years old. And I got that from my parents. My brother also bought me an album, and he was heavily into Bob Dylan, so he thought he'd be smart and buy me an album that he knew that I wouldn't really like when I was 14, so I'd probably end up giving it to him. So I owned John Wesley Harding whenever I was 14. I didn't give it to him though. I kept it and I played it and I played it, and I did quite like it. It's still not one of my favourite albums of his, but this one does have All Along the Watchtower on it, and I'll Be Your Baby Tonight. But the best song for me in this was the Ballad of Frankie Lee and Judas Priest, which I thought was really good. So that was 1980. 1981, and from my brother again, I got ABBA's Greatest Hits Volume 2. I already had the original Greatest Hits, which I think is one of the best Greatest Hits albums of all time. In fact, I'm going to do a video sometime soon of my favourite compilation albums. But I thought, right, we'll get this as well, and although there's more hits on this, I still think that the first Greatest Hits is better. And also in 1981, I got this, and this was from my parents. This is Sheer Heart Attack by Queen. And at this stage, the only song I knew of this was Killer Queen, because I did have the single. I didn't know Now I'm Here. And I believe Queen's Greatest Hits was probably #1 around this time in the charts, and we all know how well that album's done, because it's still probably in the charts. It's the best selling album of all time, I believe, in the UK. So this was great to have, and I remember putting the headphones onto this and letting it rip. Brighton Rock was a highlight of this for me, but the two In the Lap of the Gods I thought were absolutely amazing. 1982, and I got two Rolling Stones albums from my parents, and this is It's Only Rock and Roll. And I actually remember getting my parents to drive to Belfast with me in the car so I could go round the record shops and pick out the albums I wanted for Christmas. In fact, now I think of it, there's another one which I got for Christmas that year which I haven't got out yet. Well, I'm not going to. The other one I got was Paul Simon's Live Rhyming, but well, there's no point in pulling that out now. So this one was got in 82, along with my now favourite Stones album, Goat's Head Soup. Also in 82 I got this one, and this is Stiff Little Fingers Now Then. So yeah, this is also a very good album. I did a video not so long ago on Stiff Little Fingers and the Undertones. 1983, I find it very difficult to remember what I got, but I do remember. Before we go on to 1983, there's another one from 1982 from my brother, and that's Olivia Newton-John's Greatest Hits, and I thought this was great. This mixes, you know, the physical stuff with the Grease stuff with the slightly more country stuff. Very, very good album. There's about 20 songs in this, or about 18 songs in this, so yeah, really enjoyed this, and I still do. It's a good album. So back to 1983, and this here was bought by a friend called John, one of my mates from school. We always hung about together, and this is Undercover by the Rolling Stones, and anyone who knows how I feel about the Rolling Stones knows I love this album. I can't remember anything else about 1983. I know my brother bought me a T-Rex album, Zinc Alloy, which was on the new Mark on Wax label with a different cover, but I've since got rid of that. 1984, and the only one I can actually remember getting is It's the Sweet Hits. This is a fantastic sweet compilation. If you ever see this, this is probably the best one to get, because it has the early stuff all up to Stairway to the Stars. Well, in fact, Love Is Like Oxygen's on this as well, so it's a really good comprehensive sweet greatest hits album. 1985, and Elton John's A Single Man. I know that was released in 78, so it was 7 years after it was originally released, and I loved this. I really did love this album, and I still do. Shine On Through, Return to Paradise, Big Dipper, Georgia, Part-Time Love, Song for Guy, all excellent stuff. And also in 85 I got Kate Bush's The Dreaming. I know this was her last album to be released at that time. Hounds of Love had yet to be released, although this was released 3 years previous. So I remember playing this, and Sat in Your Lap was the big one I played on Christmas Day quite a lot. 1985 was also a very sad time in our family where our dog, we had to get our dog put down on Boxing Day. The dog actually had, I believe it had cancer, although we didn't say that, and it was a boxer dog as well, so a boxer dog to be put down on Boxing Day. Not very nice. 1986, and a lot of this is actually, all the 86 albums are by females, and the Bangles all over the place. Played this an awful lot on Christmas Day. This was one from the Parents. This was one from my brother, Madonna's The First Album. Yep, great. Holiday, Borderline, Lucky Star, my favourite Madonna album. And from my girlfriend at the time, I got this, The Pretenders, Get Close. This was their new album. So 86 seems to be dominated by the females. 1987, and I got this for Christmas from my parents, and this is Billy Joel Concert, or, well, I can't say it in Russian, but it's a double live Russian album, and it's not bad. It hasn't been played that much. It got played a few times way back then, but it hasn't really been played since. There's actually quite a good version of Bob Dylan's The Times They Are A-Changin' on this, and yeah, A Matter of Trust is on it, so this is the one that supported the album After an Innocent Man, which I can't remember the name of. Well, it's the one with the blue cover. But anyway, I got this 87 for Christmas, and also in 87 I got this, and this was played an awful lot. This is The Cars, Door to Door, and this is a much better album than you think. This gets slagged off a lot, but the single You're the Girl is excellent. Ta Ta Way Oh Way was really, really good. Wound Up On You, Go Away. It's a really strong Cars album. Yes, it's got the 80s production, but all the Cars albums do have. But for some reason this one gets slagged off a lot, which is unfair because it's one of their best. And lastly, in 87 that I can remember, The Christians, and I wanted this especially for the song Hooverville, which I still love. Forgotten Town's pretty good. Ideal World, Born Again. It's not a bad album. It's almost blue-eyed soul, but it's good. I enjoyed it. I've also got the second album, which is not bad as well. 1988, and all I can remember is the new girlfriend at the time bought me this, Nick Lowe's Pinker and Prouder Than Previous, which I still love to bits. It's one of his best albums. And also I got Chris Rea's this is New Light Through Old Windows, where he re-recorded a lot of the songs, and a lot of them are better. So this is the album. If I want to hear something like Fool If You Think It's Over, it has to come from this version, and of course it's got Driving Home for Christmas on it. 1989, and the only one I can remember is this being bought by my brother. This is Dave Edmunds' Subtle as a Flying Mallet. This is his 1975 album, but it does feature two of his 73 singles, Baby I Love You and Born to Be With You, and this is a pretty good album. Then in 1990, the only two I can remember are Peter Gabriel's Shaking the Tree, which is a good album. I want it especially for Salisbury Hill and Games Without Frontiers, but unfortunately I dropped something on it on Christmas Day and caused a big sort of dent, big hole in one of the sides, but it was not the side with Salisbury Hill on it, so I'm happy enough. So it hasn't really been played much since. And the last one from 1990, and it's the Bee Gees, and this was about a month old whenever I got this, and this is all the hits from New York Mine Disaster up to Ordinary Lives, and the song that got played constantly on Christmas Day whenever I was absolutely plastered drunk was You Win Again. So now that was 1990, and after 1990 it became CDs, so that's where I'm going to stop. So those are some of my vinyl ghosts of Christmas past. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope everybody has a great Christmas. That's me for now, and I hope to have another video sometime after Christmas. All the best now. Bye bye.